Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator, actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar T8. This is Let's Play Higurashi, Part 15. OBS-chan seems to be working just fine. Let's double check OBS. All good. Let's continue the story. I needed to get out of here somehow. Then, use a public phone to contact Oyushi-san. Then meet up somewhere. First of all, I need a weapon. Then shoes. But before all of that, there was one thing I had to do. I had no intention of dying. I'd live, and reveal the truth about this nonsensical curse of Oyoshira-sama. But what would happen from here on, regardless of how determined I was, may bring about my demise. And that was why. There was one more important thing than getting out of here right now. I need to get that clock out quickly and take down the note hidden behind it. Damn it, the tape was sticking to it fast. It'd be fine if it was torn a little. I opened up the slightly torn note and began writing another passage with a ballpoint pen. If I wasn't able to inform Oshi-san, then the only thing I could rely on was this note. I'd never thought a piece of torn, college-ruled notebook paper could be this reliable before. I had no time. I'd only write what I knew right now. I needed to leave some sort of information that would lead them to uncover the truth. Rena and Mion are conspirators of the perpetrators. This was an undeniable fact. I still didn't want to believe it, but it was a fact. Anyway, I'd leave all the information that would help them lead to finding the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This was everything I was able to see from the window. There may be more. Also, was that unidentified person known as the manager? To begin with, the term manager didn't even mesh with Hinamizawa at all. If they were going to include the managers from the past instance, then the only one who was construction foreman, the victim from the first murder, the very first victim in the chain of incidents, killed in a lynching, his body divided into 6 pieces. His right arm was never discovered. The police should have confirmed that death, but Rena and Mion did both call him manager. They said manager. They wouldn't use that term to refer to someone who was dead. The police would never even conceive that someone who was deceased could be involved. Could that be some sort of oversight? I didn't know. But even if I didn't know, it could be a big hint for Oshi-san. That's right. They needed to start fresh from the first incident. It wasn't just a simple dismemberment, but the start of this string of mysterious deaths that would follow. So then, there must be something hidden there. Please reinvestigate the victim from the dismemberment incident. He's alive. His death should have been established after an autopsy. Logically, you would think as much. But was that really the case? Could it have been some sort of ploy that they were able to deceive the police with? I shouldn't jump to conclusions, but he may still be alive. I had no time to ponder that right now. Oh yeah, there's something even more important I needed to write. Tomotaki-san's death was from an unknown drug. That's right, the drug. It was an irreplaceable piece of evidence. No doubt, just by having this, everything would be uncovered. I couldn't just leave that vital clue lying on the floor. This syringe is proof. Writing that down, I stuck the syringe onto the back of the clock with plenty of tape, so it absolutely would not slip out and fall on the floor, firmly, firmly. Ding dong. The bell rang. They were here. I couldn't write any more. But even still, there was one last thing I had to write. I have no idea why it has become like this. This may be the closest thing to the truth out of everything I wrote on this note. If you are reading this, then I am probably already dead, though you may or may not find my body. If I was going to write out everything that could happen, either dying from the curse or being demoned away, you who are reading this, please uncover the truth. That is my only desire. With this, my last will and testament was complete. It wasn't certain that I was going to die, but it was my final plea, just in case. I folded the note, stuck it back onto the back of the clock, and returned the clock back to its usual spot. I couldn't help but pray. Oh, Oshi-san, if something happens to me, I leave the rest to you. After that, I gazed down silently at Rena and Mion. This was probably the last time we'd ever see each other. Rena, Mion, I really had thought all of us were friends. But why did it end up like this? I never had any fun at my previous school. I only worried about standardized test scores, about if the school I hoped to get into was where I really wanted to go, or a safety net. That was all I talked about. It was a dull life. The people I called friends were also my rivals in studying, in competitions and personal records, and standardized test scores. Everyone here taught me how unhealthy that lifestyle was. This month was really fun. Making a fuss over lunch, making a fuss over the club, making a fuss over the festival. Something hot began dripping from my face. Uncontrollable tears. I should have had no obligation to shed tears for them, but they wouldn't stop, even if they were after my life, even if they were trying to kill me. Everything that happened this month, I wouldn't forget it. Or could it be those happy days were all a facade as well? Was it all a trap, meticulously orchestrated up until today to ensnare me? Could it have been that I had just arbitrarily assumed that they were my friends? That couldn't have been the case. Both Rena and Mion, they really were my friends. Those happy days. There was nothing fake or unclear about them. Someone probably forced them to try to kill me, or their minds were taken over, possessed by the supernatural entity known as Oyashira-sama. Regardless, both Rena and Mion, they were the best friends ever. And when they were coming after me, it wasn't of their own volition. Wait, they weren't the kind of people to sell off their friends, regardless of whether or not they were forced. There's no way such a thing like being possessed by Oyashira-sama could happen in reality. Then, did the real Rena and Mion come after me? What was I thinking? Well, a silly, dumb idea. Having beaten down both Rena and Mion, I was still debating if they were the real ones or fakes. There was no real or fake, only the reality that was before me. Rena and Mion were sprawled out at my feet. That was the only truth. I was only trying to twist the facts to my benefit, that I had beaten my friends to death. No matter how I spun it, it wouldn't change reality. Rena and Mion were both dead. It felt like there was a crack in the dam of strange emotions I was holding back. It felt like my calm state, which was nothing more than a bluff, had receded. And in that opening, insanity was leaking out. I killed them. Rena and Mion, I killed them. The doorbell rang again. The unrelenting echo pulled me back into a state of composure. Once again, I didn't have a moment to spare. Quickly, I needed to get away. I didn't want to die. I would uncover everything after that. the identity of whoever or whatever had pushed me this far. Even if I had to drink mud and eat grass, I would survive. I would survive. I would definitely survive. I killed Rena for that very reason. I also killed Mion. I went that far just to keep living. So I can't die. For my sake and for the sake of the late Rena and Mion, I have to survive. I ran towards the door and grabbed my shoes. The doorbell rang again, as if to urge me on. Behind this single solitary door, they were there. Keeping quiet, I headed towards the kitchen. Headed towards the back door. Before opening the back door, I put my ear to it and checked for the people outside. No one? After I put on my shoes, I opened the door slowly so as to not make a sound. There he is! The back door! A piercing voice echoed out. That voice stabbed through me, setting my hair on end. I had to run. Get out of here, Keiji. One after the other, I felt stuff like rationale and intelligence, those things you use when you have time to spare, spill out of me. I didn't feel any pain from the branches scratching my arms and forehead. My autonomously pulsing heart also felt neither fatigue nor pain. My entire being just wished to live. There was nothing else it desired. It probably had no complaints whatsoever. So of course I wouldn't feel fatigue. I just ran, just recklessly, rushing in the direction I was already heading. Even if nobody was chasing me after me, I'd still be running like this. There wasn't a thought in my mind about where I was headed. Turning around felt like a presence I felt a presence right next to me. That presence was, without a doubt, chasing me like my shadow. If I took even one misstep, I would be devoured. That's what I thought. So I didn't turn around. I didn't stop. I ran at full speed. I don't even know how to pronounce that. That was the chirping of the Higurashi telling me it was evening, trying to tell me something, and then I finally heard it. The wailing cry of the victims who didn't make it. Would I be joining them? Only the Higurashi knew. They knew everything. They definitely knew. So I ran towards where I could hear more of the Higurashi's chirps, but the farther I ran, the farther away their chirping became. I couldn't get near them. Why are you all running away? Was it my fault? Was I the one to blame? Then I'll apologize. I'm sorry. 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 I felt that only the Higurashi knew. The smoking room was filled with a cloud of cigarette smoke. The expensive smoke filter gave off some cackling electric noises, but it didn't seem like it was doing anything at all. Why do smokers have to be shoved so far down this corridor when the sun didn't even reach? I recalled hearing that the tax revenue from the tobacco was about 1/10 for the municipality's revenue. We were the most heavily taxed members of this municipality, so I really wished they'd show us a little bit more respect. Hmm. Why would you discard the 5 Mansu there? It's just decreasing your options. One of the younger detectives was having a staring contest with the Mahjong magazine called Next Turn. You're still in Tenpai if you cut the 5 Mansu. If you're betting on a hati, then you shouldn't be going into a Mamangan. Kumo-chan, look at the pond. They all discarded a 5 Mansu. It's a safe tile. You'd hate it if at the end of the game someone was sitting on a tenpai on the last turn, wouldn't you? The kid let out another groan, put out his cigarette, and... I just don't agree. Why would you reduce your own options? By the way, you can't call Ron with your winning tile in that hati. What? Why is that? Just then I heard a voice coming down from the hall. Are you here, Oshi-san? You have a call from a civilian. Whoa, ain't that something? Well, see you soon. Why can't you call Ron on it? Hold on for a second, Oshi-san. The man sitting in the seat Oshi-san was heading towards waved at the telephone receiver, outside line, from a payphone. Oh, why, thank you. Sorry to keep you waiting. This is Oshi. Who is it? Ah, Oshi-san? Hello. If it isn't Mabura-san. Why, good evening. From the tone Mabura-kun's voice, I already knew he was in a predicament. This was the first time Mabura-kun had phoned me. And he was calling from a payphone? Please calm down. Did something happen? His voice was erratic. Over the line, he had completely lost his sense of composure. After checking that nobody else could hear, I prompted him in a hushed tone. What happened? Calm down, Mabura-san. I can have the local officers head to your location. I'll be there soon, too. I think that's impossible. His voice was quivering and hoarse. He wasn't surrounded by people, even as he was making this call. Was he? Mabura-san? You're calling from a payphone right now, right? Where is that payphone? There was no other sounds besides Mabura-kun's voice. It had to be a phone booth. I scratched out a note and thrust it at my colleague sitting across from me. Hinamizawa phone booth. He understood quickly and hastily started on the internal lines. Calm down, Mabura-san. What is your current situation? It usually wasn't a good idea to tell someone panicking to do so. But this was not a usual case. Mabura-kun didn't just get in trouble, get away, and then call me. He was in the midst of something dangerous right now. But yelling at Mabura-kun right now would just needlessly cause him to be even more frantic. Mabura-kun wasn't just calling to seek help. He was trying to tell us something more than that. And whatever that was, if I didn't get it from this call, I was certain there would never be another chance. My colleague pushed a note in front of me. There's only one phone booth in Hinamizawa. A patrol car is on the way. 5 minutes. That's too long. How many officers are in there? 2. Not enough. If it was just as I imagined, there was likely quite a few people surrounding Mabura-kun. 5 minutes was too long. Did you call the officer stationed in Hinamizawa? He is scheduled to be on patrol. They're currently out, and it'll be impossible to contact them. God damn it. Kuma-chan, bring the car around. Understood. Hello? Oshi-san? Cough, cough? Hello? It's all right. I can hear you loud and clear. There was something wrong with Mabura-kun. That wasn't a normal coughing sound. Vomiting? Or was it blood? Had he already been attacked? Was he injured? Mabura-san, the police are on their way. They'll be there in a couple minutes, so hold on somehow. Hello? Can you hear me? Mabura-san? I could hear on the other end of the line that he was having a coughing fit. The worst possible situation popped into my head. Mabura-san, who is the culprit? How many are there? I thought at first the culprit was human. Hack. I couldn't tell if that was a cough or vomiting. Are you alright, Mabura-san? I thought that the culprit was a person, and not Oyashiro-sama's curse, up until right now. But I guess in the end, hack, it was an intense bout of coughing, then vomiting. But I guess Oyashiro-sama does exist. No, he's here. Mabura-san, please, just please calm down. I had been thinking that it was strange for a while now. It's been following me this whole time. I run and run and run and run. But it just sticks to me like a shadow. But slowly, so slowly, it's digging itself into my back. Mabura-san? Are they, right now, perhaps, right behind you? Behind me. Right behind me. Please. Mabura-san? I can tell you're scared. But please, who is it that's right behind you? I can't just look behind me. If I do, I understand that you're scared. This kind of reminds me of Chaos Head Noah. That was a good visual novel. Again, very long, as most of these actually are. I understand that you're scared, but please tell me. You just need to turn around a bit. Who is it? Who is behind you, Mabura-san? Right after I said that, I could hear him vomiting intensely. What followed was a nightmarish sound. Mabura-san? It couldn't be that you're clawing out your own throat? There was no answer, but I could hear something like scratching. There was a bang, as if something was being hit. Mabura-kun had probably dropped the receiver. I could hear groaning and vomiting over the other end, and a repeating, abnormal noise. Hello? Hello? Mabura-san! Hello! I knew how far away my voice would sound on the other end, but I couldn't help but shout. At that moment I heard whispering coming from the other end. I couldn't tell what he was saying. From the way he was saying it, was he talking to himself, or was he talking to someone there? Hello? Mabura-san! Rather than whispering, it was some kind of mantra he was chanting over and over. I focused my senses, trying to pick up what he was saying. What was he repeating? What exactly? Beep. Suddenly the line went dead. Did he use up his time? It was because it was a payphone. It was because it cut out so abruptly. The last thing he said came out so clearly in my mind. Oshi-san, the car is good to go. Oshi-san? It was, I'm sorry. Oshi-san? That's what he was repeating over and over. He said, I'm sorry. I had a gut feeling. There was no longer a need to hurry. I could hear the chirp of the Higurashi spilling in from the open window. Is that the noise that the Cybermen make? We're going to find Keiichi Mabura sprawled out like Yamcha by a payphone. All joking aside, this is a really great visual novel, though I am a bit spoiled due to the anime. And Yamcha is actually a cool character. I just wasn't paying any attention. Why did I focus on them all of a sudden? Were they trying to tell me something? Only the Higurashi knew. That's how I felt. Now we're nearing the end of chapter 1 of the visual novel. But it goes up to 8, I think, and then it also has many bonus ones. So, I should be reading things. I didn't get to read that! I was... Okay, you guys should pause this at times to read, because... Yeah, there's no way I could read this fast. Wait, not everybody does that? Like I said, you guys are going to have to pause this at every one of these to actually read. That was loud. A new scenario has been unlocked. All cast review session has become available. To play it, select extra on the title menu, and then pick the all cast review session. Thank you for buying Higurashi When They Cry, Onakushi. Yeah, there's more to this. Like, this will be the end of chapter 1, the Onakushi, but there's a chapter 2 with Tadagashi, chapter 3, Tarigaroshi, chapter 4, Hima Tsubushi, chapter 5, Miyakashi, chapter 6, Sumi Horoboshi, chapter 7, Minogoroshi, chapter 8, Matsuri Bayashi, and then we have a chapter Ray, and a chapter Ho Plus. It's like HOU and a plus symbol. Hey, look who's not dead! A visual novel by the 07th expansion. How was it? If you enjoyed it even a little bit, it would make me happy. Even a little bit is stretching it. That's incredibly dark ending made me angry, you know. Made us angry. As I understand it, this Onakushi chapter is supposed to be somewhat of a prologue to the entire series. How could the prologue have such an incredibly dark ending? Yeah, but doesn't that happen sometimes? I don't know. Pretty sure the story Berserk did that a little bit. The player digging through the story in order to avoid a bad ending is the point of these types of games after all. But I never had a choice in the entire game. It's still just the first chapter. I'm looking forward to the next one. What happens in the next chapter? Rena, do you know? Yeah, they said the next chapter will introduce another aspect of the story. That's a strange way of putting it. What does that mean? In this chapter, they introduced a string of mysterious deaths that were happening in Hinamizawa, right? The next chapter will introduce the history of Hinamizawa. With one strange event happening after another, I got totally lost. What exactly is Oyashiro-sama's curse about? Actually, what is Oyashiro-sama to begin with? They didn't explain it much. I haven't heard much about it, but I have kind of bad feeling about it. It feels like it'll be another one of these scary stories where somebody gets cursed again. Tough luck, eh, Kei-chan? What kind of curse is he going to get hit with this time? However, I am looking forward to seeing what kind of story it is going to be. Sorry for being late. My bad, my bad. Hey, everybody. I've been dead for most of the entire game. Good work today. Same to you. Huh, where's Kei-chan? Keiichi-kun is already off reading the script for the next chapter. It must be hard being the main character. Huh, that's too bad. He could have at least poked in to say hello. It's probably because he doesn't have any character art, so he couldn't poke his head in, even if he wanted to. Rika-san, that's what we refer to as a personal problem. Hehehe. In any case, that story really was a lot of trouble, especially for Keiichi-kun and Rena-chan. Trouble? That was the mother of all bad ends. I wonder, what was the identity of the thing that attacked Keiichi-kun? My theory is that it's the work of the people that made it look like a curse. But, at the end, Keiichi made the phone call. Yeah, I also thought the call was strange. At that point, Kei-chan should have been certain that the culprits were people. That really was a strange phone call. It almost sounded like he was being chased by a ghost or something. Just from that phone call, it really makes me think that it was the work of the curse after all. Since we're all here, why don't we all share our theories? Let's start with Sonozaki-san. I absolutely believe it was people. I think it was a man-made incident that was just imitating the strange folklore floating around Hinamizawa like Scooby-Doo! Scooby-Doo-Doo-Doo! Certainly. Every year on the day of the festival, for another link in the chain of mysterious deaths to happen certainly is suspicious. That so-called chain of mysterious deaths is definitely somebody trying to reenact the folklore, definitely. I think it was the curse. Looking at the scene where Keiichi-san went berserk in the entryway, and the last scene with the phone call, I just couldn't come out to the conclusion that a person was the culprit. When you say it that way, it really wasn't the type of scene that would make you think it was the work of an actual person. Yeah, but even then, I still think it was a person who did it. That last scene, and the only one in the entryway, I think it might have been a delusional episode, brought about by post-traumatic stress disorder. I wouldn't know what's going on anymore, even if you didn't use such complicated words. In other words, Keiichi was so scared that he was imagining things. Then, what was the meaning behind that scene? What exactly was that mysterious presence behind Keiichi? A red herring? Red herring. Mi-chan, what do you mean by red herring? Like old man Tamataki-san here said, the scene was the result of Keiichi having a stress-induced delusion from being mentally cornered. To expand on that a bit further, it was a ploy to make the player think it was a curse. That's why it was a red herring. But when you say it like that, but... Ha 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 ha. Well, it just means that there's that possibility. In that case, the theory that Oshi-san posed during the story, that it was a conspiracy by the villagers, was correct. What does the man himself have to say about that? Me? Ha ha ha. It makes you think, eh? Huh? I totally thought that Oshi-san would be behind the people explanation. During the story, I said it was definitely the work of people. But if a person really was to blame, that leaves a lot of loose ends. Like what? Like, let us hear what Detective Oshi-san's theory is. First of all, if a human is the culprit, then there has to be a motive. In other words, somebody has to gain something from it. So what you mean is, if this is the work of people, there would have to be something gained from causing a chain of mysterious deaths. Exactly. I felt that somebody could have benefited from the deaths of the people related to the dam development, but the recent victims weren't related to that at all. Oh, I did not mean to do that. How do I... Oh. First off, who benefits from killing Keiichi-kun? I see. If you say it like that, my case is kinda weak too. I mean, none of your money was stolen. There's no way it was human culprits. But that's not everything there is to it, right? Like Mi-chan said, there might have been some sort of reason for them to reenact the folklore. Exactly. This wasn't a murder where you consider the typical motives. It makes me think that this was most likely some sort of ritualistic murder to reenact the blood-stained history of the village. So I'll ask the question of the hour, who gains from this reenactment? It's not about simple benefit, it's more of a psychological reason. I think that maybe this was an act of revenge, something native to this region. Fate was unable to be fooled this time around. I see. A member of some repressed family looking to air out an old grudge of their ancestors. Some of that? I don't like that. Then what is it? It couldn't be that you're leaning towards the curse explanation, Oishi-san. That's right. The man playing the detective said so. It's decided it was a curse. If, like how Mabra said during the story, it was the case that Oishiro-san possessed Rena and Susaki-san committed those acts, that would fit the evidence the most, as much as I hate to say it. Actually, I'm of the same opinion as Oishi-san. I can't come up with any other explanation for the normally kind Rena and Mi-chan to suddenly start acting strange like that. About that, it may sound strange coming from the person herself, but I think that I, Mion, did it. I don't get what Mi is saying. I'd like an explanation. Oh, sorry. In other words, I think this may end up being a really cruel story. Huh? Wait, Mi-chan? You don't mean... If you follow the trail evidence to the very end, that's how it would seem. I also have my suspicions. In other words, Rena-san and Sonozaki-san both actually had those personalities to begin with, and were merely deceiving Mamoru-san. Am I right? I don't like that at all. Wow, this is all the curse's fault. I actually know the real story on this, so I'm not going to spoil it for people. That being said, let's just say it's got something to do with Jigglypuff. It's a Pokemon reference. Everyone's like, no one's gonna get what you're talking about. I'm just saying, one, it's interesting we know exactly what happened in this scenario, but there's also the fact that eventually the story keeps repeating with different results, and in some of the versions of the story, some of the characters are good, and other versions, a character who was good in a previous telling is now, well, not so good. Did I miss reading something? This is all the curse fault. Rena-san, Mion-san, everyone else are all kind, nice people. I think that too. I think that Rena and Mion-chan are really good people at heart. I think that during the story they definitely were possessed by something. So Rena also thinks it was a curse. Now let me ask everyone who thinks it was a curse. There has to be a reason for a curse, right? I don't think there would be something indiscriminately cursing everything. Can somebody explain that? A curse is a curse. Human logic won't get us anywhere. Sochika-chan. A personified deity is, in the end, nothing more than a creation of people. I really want to spoil the story. Granted, I can't say I remember all of it verbatim, and there's multiple animes, and many of them actually explain it different ways. Just saying, I don't want to spoil the story, and that technically there's like 20 different answers I could give you that would all be true, but all contradictory, and all spoilers. I guess the best thing I can really tell of you is this. You should really watch the anime. All of them.
They're really good anime. Plus, the music in the anime is really good. You know what's really cool? You guys remember the Pokemon soundtracks? I remember at one point I used to have the original Pokemon soundtracks from the first 3 movies. You know, at some point I should probably, have a playlist or something that's just a list of all those really cool Pokemon songs. So I'm like, hey guys, welcome to the guy who badly plays video games, and I guess now it's not even playing, I'm just reading a really cool, I mean, it's still technically a game, but well, my own awkwardness aside, and the fact that anyone who's probably a really big fan of this series is probably already watched everything themselves, and honestly, there's a million people that would probably be a much more interesting person. Not only would they be better reading it, but also it'd probably be their first time. It'd probably be a whole different experience having somebody read this who isn't familiar with the story. Kind of like the blind reaction of somebody to a scary game. It's different when you know, like, what, these scary, like, games like Raging Loop, or AI's Somnium Files, or Song of Memories, or Data Live. They're very different when, the person playing them already knows what happens in the game, and already knows what to expect. I mean, it's still an enjoyable game to play the second time, but I can't say I'm really, giving the same reactions that somebody who is not familiar with this would give, as well as the fact that I would imagine in this scenario where I don't know from, watching the anime and stuff, I would probably be, doing all sorts of little theory crafting right now, trying to figure, I'd probably be hanging out with these guys, trying to debate, who did it, how'd this happen, what's the story, and that in itself is fun, but, I know the story to a large degree. Granted, I'm sure there will be many scenes that I won't be familiar with, and I'm sure there's be things that will catch me off guard. But that being said, it's like, you know what? Why are there no Spyro the Dragon or Crash Bandicoot ROM hacks? Custom levels. Imagine a Spyro the Dragon. Original Spyro Dragon was good, even the original version on PlayStation, as well as the remake, that looked really cool too. But I still like the old art style of the first game when it first came out in the 90s. Heck, I really did enjoy sitting and playing Mario 1 and Mario 3 with my mom on the NES. As well as some Spyro and some Crash. Spyro was pretty chill and relax. I love my mom very much. But yeah, I'm surprised there's no Spyro the Dragon ROM hacks. But I'm just saying, it's one, not only are there people that are probably better at, reading than I am, but as well as, I guess, voice acting or whatever that crap. But I guess the other thing is that, especially, imagine somebody who's never heard of this series at all and has no familiarity with it. Though honestly, I don't know what would be a more interesting reaction to see. The person to read this visual novel series not knowing what to expect, or someone's blind reactions to the Higurashi anime if they had never seen it before. And of course there's a multiple series with it. Same with with Tenchi Muyo and the Gundams. Heck, I still say the only 2 seasons of Power Rangers were good were the first 2, with Rita Rapunzel and Lord Zed. After that, it was all garbage. I like Pokemon Orange Islands. I need to go to bed. Just take a look at the Greek pantheon. They cry, they get angry, get jealous. Basically, they're just like humans. So what you're saying is that Oishiro-sama is cursing people with some benefit in mind? That's an odd way of putting it, but basically yes. Basically saying that is, even if there is a supernatural being doing stuff, then the question is, what does the supernatural being get out of it? And I'll say this. There's, depending on the way the anime goes, because there's different versions of the anime, well, okay. My ability to resist the idea of spoiling the story is too much. I'm going to say some very important things. So if you don't want to be spoiled by this, don't listen to the next 20 seconds of this. Okay, now that everyone's gone, remember, not that anyone was here to watch this video to begin with, but, okay, I'm going to rapid fire just say all the spoilers that are really important. First off, it wasn't a syringe. In this version of the story, it was a marker. He elucidated it as a syringe, and most of the diabolical bullshit that Mion and Rena were doing wasn't actually real. Keiichi was the one going insane, and all of the other stuff was in his mind. And their reactions were literally to just their friend isolating themselves, as well as being paranoid and showing very concerning characteristics psychologically. And then also being a bit ill and not feeling well. So yeah, when he freaked out, they were going to write on his shirt like Tomotachi. They didn't mean that they were going to inject him with a drug like Tomotachi-san had been injected with a drug. They were going to just write on his shirt and draw on his face. Like Jigglypuff would draw on people when, they fall asleep from the singing. So yeah, it was just Keiichi having a mental breakdown and going insane. Now that being said, this story has a lot of time traveling, looping stuff, and retelling of a story, as well as it's something called Hinamizawa syndrome, where what it is a type of, first off, we go with a biological explanation where there's a type of parasite that mainly just lives in this region, and it infects a human's brain. And it affects their psychology, causes hallucinations and paranoia. And technically everyone in the entire city, even people that drink the water here, eat the food here, especially their unique vegetables, or spend enough time here, will be exposed to this. So everybody in the city has this in them as a dormant issue. And the brain chemicals released from things like extreme stress and adrenaline and fear and anxiety and panic will actually trigger it. So usually what happens is someone in the village will go psycho because, well, the parasites growing in their brain, are reacting to their initial psychotic. Basically, something traumatic or stressful happens, it triggers the parasite to grow, and then as the person gets more stressful situations, some caused by their own psychological fear, it feeds more adrenaline and, stress chemical responses in the human brain, as well as lighting up everything in terms of the human brain a lot more than normal, so that it feeds the parasite more. And as the parasite gets fed more, it causes more psychological problems, which, again, it's a non-stop feedback loop. The other thing is when the person dies, it basically dissolves away and there's no trace left of it. That being said, as far as people coming and going from the village, is that, the parasite is dormant, but a change in certain nutrients, so to speak, getting exposed to you can change how it affects. Other than that, there also are versions of the story in which Rena and Mion actually were trying to kill him. There's a version of the story in the anime where Rena, when she came over to offer that food, he lets her in, and she actually had a bunch of knives and stuff and tries to murder him. And she actually is doing that. She's the one who's psycho. There's one where Mion is actually literally killing people. There's the one where she has a twin sister called Shion. There's also multiple versions of the story where that drug, that needle, actually did exist. And there's people just going around with needles full of this psychotic super drug. There's a version of the story where the government's involved, and there's a bunch of scientists, and they're using the people in Hinamizawa as like guinea pigs to basically make Resident Evil type shit. There's a version of the story where Oyashiro-sama's real, and you have stuff with ghosts and gods. There's a version of the story where they're extra-dimensional space aliens that came through a fucking wormhole and did like Final Fantasy The Spirits Within. And there's a version where all these things are true at once, and a version where all of them are false at once. Like there's versions of the story where, like this one, and it can even be left to interpretation. That's what they're all just going here. They're hashing over, like, what could it have been? It's like, were Rena and Mion really bad people? If they were bad people, why did they attack Keiichi? And were they just faking all that time being his friend up to that point? Or, of course, was it aliens? As that one dude with the weird hair, like, aliens. History Channel's cool. But some of the stuff is... memes. Who else thinks memes are funny? There's this channel called Mammalian. It's meme. Everyone's like, you watch too much YouTube. But yeah, it's just all around. This is a really good story. It's a really great anime. Both the visual novel and the anime actually have really great music. Actually, there's multiple animes, and each of them has different music, and they're awesome in each one. But I don't know. I want to share all the music stuff, especially Pokemon. I really like the old school Pokemon soundtracks. They were so kick-ass. Hell, there was a song, track 16 off the original Pokemon soundtrack called Brother My Brother by Blessed Union of Souls. Imagine if Disturbed did a cover of that song. That'd be pretty cool. Or heck, Final Fantasy Spirits Within was a movie. I think I had it on VHS like forever ago. I even had the soundtrack on CD for that too. It was a really good movie. I liked the story. I liked the music a lot, and the computer, generated images for it were well ahead of their time. And for the time it was made, I think it was like 2003. It was perhaps one of the most advanced, movies using that kind of stuff back then. Nowadays, people will look back at that and they'll cringe and say it's terrible, or even say it's a bit uncanny valley, making it where the characters don't look like they're really alive. And again, I suppose I really can't fault them for seeing that, because it was a unique art style, and I still think it's a very unique art style to this day. And it was definitely the best in existence at that time with the technology available. But it definitely gives an aesthetic to where it's trying to cross that boundary of looking hyper realistic And that is an extremely difficult and challenging thing for any artist to do. Whether it's video games or anime or anything. And of course, many people go with a more stylized. For example, that's what we have here with these. I was just trying to. That's what I say, far from Jupiter, far from his thunder. But I'm just saying, like all the people here, you're going with a very stylized. And it looks nice. I think that's usually what a lot of artists do. Granted, artists can, like, different mangaka will sometimes branch out and try different things. And they'll certainly know many different art styles. But a lot of artists tend to, after spending a lot of time exploring different styles and drawing stuff, eventually decide on a certain way of doing it, a certain style that they like the most, that they find most pleasing. And I mean, technically, these aren't even the original sprites. Like, what we're seeing here is, this is, they added in extra sprites so you can see it as if from, the anime. These are like to look like the anime, or like the anime character versions of it. The original versions of the sprites are, well, very, very different looking. But I'll say this. I still like that art style too. But, I don't know. I really like music of many different genres. Some of the music's happy and go-lucky, and some of the music is really awesome, heavy rock music, and some of it's very sad. In general, I have a wide range of emotions, and, well, music helps, so to speak. I try to encourage people to sing karaoke, to share music with other people, to learn an instrument, to try to write music yourself, or to just listen to music yourself, to be more aware of the music around you, even if it's in a video game you're playing. Like, even if you're playing a really intense action game or an FPS game, take a moment to appreciate the music in the background. But above all, just have fun. That's what video games are for. Sometimes it really doesn't matter what's going on in the game, just as long as you're having fun. That's what video games are for. Good, harmless fun. Heck, I think it's good for people to express themselves. As long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting anyone else. You do have a point. Basically, it doesn't matter if it's Oshiro-sama or humans. There has to be a reason. But Rika, what if that reason isn't clear? I don't know. Ha, that's right. This is still just the prologue. There's still a lot of stuff that hasn't been revealed yet. Yeah, that's hard to come up with any more theories at this point. No! I won't be satisfied until this is all made clear. Mion seems rather particular about this as well. We'll just have to make the best of what we know. Doesn't this feel interesting? Like the club a little bit. Yeah. If you put it that way, it does seem interesting. Well then, let's summarize. Let's see if I think it was a curse. Tomotaki-san thinks it was people, right? Yeah. I'll go with being a people. I also agree with the people explanation. Was that the, Ace Attorney sound? That's not to say I hate such fantastic things like curses. But in this particular case, the connection to a curse is a little weak. 2 for the people explanation then. Renaissance was on the curse side of things, right? Yep. Satoko-chan, I believe, was a curse. Right? Yeah. I think it was a curse. Technically was, technically wasn't, who knows. People who say that Renaissance mutants that were evil to begin with are more befitting of a curse. Well, I don't want to believe that my own personality was that twisted, but I have to be cool when I'm in the club mode. If I base my choice on just emotion, I'll regret, you know? Well now, it doesn't really matter which side you pick, does it? Huh, Rika-chan hasn't said anything yet. What do you think? I don't think Oyashiro-sama is a bad god. This is ironic, given other spoilers. Everyone's like, it's like, continue this before you, like... I'm not going to spoil that part. Huh, that's an interesting opinion. Then again, it'd be like spoiling someone that, you know, what's in the box from the movie 7. Or telling people that before Arnold Schwarzenegger was cast to be in Terminator, they were wanting to cast O.J. Simpson. But then they realized that people would find it very unbelievable for O.J. Simpson to be a killer. Like, I mean, come on. Could you imagine that guy ever killing somebody? I'd like a generous god more than one that curses. That's right, Rika-chan is a shrine maiden. Yep, good opinion. Then what? If Rika-chan doesn't believe that it was Oyashiro-sama's curse, then do you think it was perpetrated as a human after all? We'll just go with that. Well now, that means the votes are split right down the middle. So half of us think it was a curse, half of us think it was people. Rena-chan, just for reference. What did the test players who played the beta version think? Yeah, there was a lot more players who believed in the people explanation. CCC, right there. Our veteran comrades are cool, collected, and very observant. But the beta version only finished partway through the story. That's right, even the people who played the beta might change their minds so they got through to the very end. What should we do then? This means that the opinions are all still split. It's no fun if we don't settle this. We need there to be an odd number of judges, in other words. We need one more opinion. Ah, perfect timing then. Why don't we ask Keiichi-kun himself? Let's call him. The opinion of the victim himself is very valuable. Since that's decided, it's time for the phone. Hello, Keiichi-kun. It's Rena. Are you busy at work right now? Yeah, really busy. Just when I thought I'd get a break because the chapter's over, it's already time for the next one. How's Kei-chan? Busy? Yeah, he's moping. I can hear you, you know. It must be nice having a wrap-up party. Save me some pizza. I wanted to go too. You can come if you can get some character art for yourself. Rika, that's a secret. Oh, sorry about that, Keiichi-kun. Anyways, during the current chapter, Keiichi-kun, didn't you die? We were just talking about who the culprit might be. Basically, we're deadlocked on whether it was people or Oyashiro-sama's curse that killed you. I'm really sorry, even though you're busy reviewing the script. Keiichi-kun, which do you think it was? That's obvious, isn't it? Which? Isn't it both of them? Targeted by suspicious people from the village, and then cursed with some strange Oyashiro-sama on top of that. It's both humans and a curse. Everybody's just picking on me. So very, very pitiful. Next time I'll pat you on the head. I'll pat you on the head for you. In the end, the opinion is still split, huh? I'll think this over again. We might have missed something. Well then, please look forward to the next release. Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 2, Watana Nagashi. If anyone actually even came across this video, let alone listened to me being, well, me, let me know. did you know about Higurashi before somehow stumbling across this video? I assume you have to. I feel like it's impossible. Like, I know I said, oh, I'm going to be spoiling it for people. But honestly, I feel like anybody that would, one, no one's going to come across this video. Two, even if you do, I feel like you would have to already be familiar with the anime and the series yourself. You would probably already watch the anime and probably only came across this because you're somebody who watches videos like about like Hinamizawa syndrome and story explanations and timeline chronologies of putting the animes together. You're probably somebody who's more than just come across Higurashi. You're probably somebody who is very much a dedicated enjoyer, a man of culture, if you will, or a woman of culture. But the point being is this. More than likely you came across this video because the algorithm saw that you watched a lot of Higurashi clips, or animes very similar to this, which you probably came across because you originally watched Higurashi the anime, and then you got suggested things very similar to it. And then eventually somehow, you were somehow introduced to me. Which I would say maybe my blind Let's Play of Resident Evil 7 would be exciting. I kind of drop all over the place with what I do on this channel. In general, this channel's just a place for me to talk without a filter and to just make videos about whatever I feel like making videos about. There's nothing consistent. Heck, I promise nothing, I guarantee even less. And the only thing consistent about this channel is a complete and total lack of professionalism. Nothing's well done, it's just me being myself. Heck, I've never made a cent off this channel, and I never will. One, I don't know why YouTube would ever want to monetize me. In fact, I can actively declare, I'm pretty sure YouTube would never want to monetize me, ever. But even if I had 1 million subscribers and YouTube wanted to monetize me, I'm not going to do that. Because not that I don't need money, but I don't want it from this. No matter how badly I might even need money. And how much... But I had to continue living the blue-collar life of working in factories and heavy lifting and using reciprocating saws and stuff. My body always tends to hurt. And I tend to work quite a few hours, and I need to go to bed so I can get sleep and go to work. I do want to make a playlist, starting with like the Pokemon songs, just because I really, really enjoyed those growing up. I don't know. Everyone's like, you're trying to play a video game, and you're like, hey, you know what'd be cool? All these songs that I like. I don't know. But yeah, I've never made a cent off this channel. I've never made a cent from any of this kind of stuff. And I never will. And I don't knock people that do make money off it. I think it's awesome for them. I cheer them on. I think it's awesome for them. And it's not over any sort of like moral fucking reason. Like, or any sort of complaint about that. It's just, I'm stubborn and I don't want to. I don't want this channel to be about that. I don't want this to be some business for me. I'm not some fucking brand. I don't want to be getting like fucking super chats and like, oh, I'm a sponsors and I'm not some fucking brand. I'm just some guy. This is just a place for me to be myself. This is just a place for me to talk. This is just me being annoying to all of you. Talking to probably the only people in the world who would actually want, air quotes, want to listen to me. And this at least comes off as a little bit more emotionally healthy than me just pacing in my living room talking to myself. And in general, I've always really liked Let's Plays and anime and video games. So I just like making videos, even if I know they're all very terrible quality. And I am a bit of a tsundere, so I'll try to constantly say that I don't care what the viewers think and I'm just gonna do whatever the hell I want to do, but I do. I obviously do care what the viewers think to a degree. I mean, I want people to enjoy the videos. I mean, obviously, if I were to make a video where I do something funny or something like my Let's Play of Super Meat Boy or Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion or Proteus, or I'm having fun with FPS or something like that, or like me playing Trepang 2, that way, Part 1, or Jubilee, or Splasher, or Nerve, or Thumper, like the high energy games. I mean, if it's something enjoyable, because I know a lot of times I watch people like Thero or the Dada Doyo person, and like the Three Idiots, which they're anything. They're definitely not idiots, but it's the name they call themselves. But the Dragon Ball Z Fighters raid boss battles, they just have so much fucking energy, and they're so it's funny. It's just I enjoyed Let's Plays quite a bit, especially back in the early days of YouTube, and I just wanted to try my hand at it. I started off with Enter the Gungeon, I think almost 4 years ago. I had a lot of fun playing that. I had a lot of fun playing a lot of games. And don't get me wrong, I had fun playing, air quotes, this game. And I want to do the rest of this series. Even if I don't think anyone will ever listen to a single one of these videos. Even though I think it'll be very unpopular with... Even if I had really an audience. I think I've probably, one, just by being myself, just in general, alienate anyone who could somehow come across me. And even then, I'm pretty sure anyone who's ever enjoyed a video of mine, I'm pretty sure after they got to know me a little bit more, decided to rethink their stance on me and unsubscribe. Or maybe I just have very little faith in other people. Or maybe I just put very little faith in my own value to other people. Then again, it is asking a lot of people. I mean, even my own attention span is kind of gone nowadays compared to when I was younger. And there's so much fucking content out there. For anyone to even sit through and listen to a single one of my videos, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it in some way. I said, I'm a bit tsundere. I don't want to admit caring if people enjoy the videos. But at the same time, I am honestly, I don't want to be obsessed with it. Like, it's not why I make the videos. I mean, if people like a video, that's cool. And if I feel like, oh, if I make this one kind of video, people will really enjoy it, that's cool. And part of me is definitely like, oh, that'd be cool. I like that. But, and of course, I think like everybody, I do enjoy a bit of praise or positive affirmation kind of stuff. But in general, it's just, do I look like a man with a plan? I just do things like a dog chasing a car. Wonder if anyone will get that reference. Then again, you probably just type it into Google to probably bring it up. But the point being is this. There really is no rhyme or reason to what the next playlist will be. It's just whatever I get a mind of like, hey, that'd be a cool thing to make a video on. And then I wind up doing terrible karaoke where I'm singing in German to a picture of a My Little Pony character. That is an actual video. Type in Bestrafe mich. It's a game. It's a game. It's a song by Rammstein. But it's just... But I think I did a lot better at Kind Libe from Ice Pressure. I actually had a bit of a VTuber model in that video too. I also did Happy by Mudvang with that model too. It's just... I'm never going to make a cent off this. I've never made a cent off YouTube. I never will. I'm not going to be getting super chats or any sort of sponsors or like that, or a Patreon or whatever that shit is. But I'll say this. Even though I gain no monetary benefit from it, I would still like it if you guys commented on the video and said hi. I mean, honestly, just listening to the video, that's thanks enough. Even if I don't even know that you're there. Thank you for listening to the video. And, you know, feel free to comment. And I guess the main comment I was wanting to ask from you guys is, before coming across this video, have you watched the Higurashi anime? How familiar are you with this anime? How much are you into it? When do you remember the first time you were ever introduced to this anime? Like, do you remember the very first, like, were you somehow sent like a link to a video of like one of the very violent scenes? Or was it like an abridged show? Or did you somehow sit down to watch this anime, the original anime of Higurashi, back like 20 plus years ago, honestly expecting a happy-go-lucky slice of life anime, having no idea about the twists and turns that would be happening later in the story? But yeah, just tell me about how familiar you are with the story, and are there any other anime out there that you really like? Technically, there's supposed to be an Overlord movie coming out soon. I think season 4 came out like a year plus ago. Kind of hard to keep track of time anymore. But alright, I should probably say what time it is right now. It is 1:07 p.m. Ohio time, October 25th, 2024. 1025 2024. But yeah, it's just, I do like being able to make these videos. I like being able to just talk about whatever without feeling any sort of pressure about, oh, I have to sound this way, or worry about being likable, or be interesting and exciting, and always have some off-the-cuff thing to say, and have energy and not have any sort of dead air where I'm going, eto, and just stutter and not having to say. I don't have to worry about any of that. Whatever is. Whatever happens. I can just make the video and just talk about whatever I feel like talking about. But, yeah, if there is anybody out there, thanks for hanging out. And remember, take care of yourselves, get plenty of sleep, try to be sociable, enjoy some good music, play some kick-ass video games. And just I hope you have all the hugs and head pats you could ever need. And I hope that you're kind to yourselves. And I hope that you love yourself. I want all of you to be happy and safe and lead good lives and just if I could, I'd give you a hug. Whoever is listening to this, I'd say I'd give you a hug, but honestly, I'd say that statement's more of a benefit to myself. I can't even remember what a hug feels like. Well, I hope everyone out there had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.